Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lila, and today I'm diving into a story that took me from the brightest highs to the darkest lows and back again. This isn't just a love story, it's an epic saga of falling head over heels, uncovering secrets that broke my heart, and rebuilding my life stronger than ever. If you've ever loved someone so much it felt like a movie, only to discover a truth that turned your world upside down, or if you fought your way back to yourself after losing everything, this one's for you. It's a long, wild ride full of twists, tears, laughter, and triumphs, so grab a coffee, a snack, maybe a cozy blanket, and settle in. Let's get into it. I was 24 when this all began. I'd been living in Miami, Florida, for a couple of years, working as a freelance photographer for local magazines and event companies. My apartment was a colorful, cramped studio in Wynwood, think vibrant street art outside, a cluttered desk covered in camera lenses, and a balcony where I'd sip Cuban coffee while watching the city wake up. Life was vibrant, shooting beach weddings, art gallery openings, and music festivals, weaving through Miami's neon-lit streets on my bike. But beneath the hustle, I was restless. Dating in Miami was a whirlwind of flashy cars and shallow conversations. Guys who cared more about their Instagram aesthetic than real connection. I wanted something deeper, a love that felt like the salsa beats pulsing through the city. It all started one steamy summer evening at a music festival in South Beach. I was hired to shoot candids for a local promoter, dodging crowds with my camera, capturing dancers swaying to reggaeton and couples laughing under palm trees. That's when I met him, Julian. He was a DJ, spinning tracks at a smaller stage, his dark hair slicked back, wearing a white linen shirt that glowed under the stage lights. His set was electric, blending Latin beats with house music, making the crowd lose it. I snapped a photo of him mid-set, and he caught my eye, flashing a grin that made my heart race. After his set, he found me in the crowd. "Did I make the cut for your lens?" he teased. I laughed, stumbling over my words, and we started talking. Julian was magnetic. He'd grown up in Miami's Little Havana, raised on Cuban rhythms and family stories. By day, he worked as a music producer, but his passion was DJing, dreaming of headlining festivals like Ultra. He had this way of making everything feel alive, describing Miami as a city that dances even when it's asleep. We talked until the festival shut down, swapping stories about our favorite spots. He loved the empanadas at a hole-in-the-wall in Hialeah. I raved about sunrise shoots at Key Biscayne. He asked for my number, and as I walked home, the neon lights of Ocean Drive buzzing around me, I felt a spark I hadn't felt in years. Our first date was at a salsa club in Little Havana, the kind with live bands and sweat-soaked dancers. Julian taught me to dance, his hands guiding my hips, laughing when I stepped on his toes. "You're a natural, Lila," he said, spinning me under the dim lights. We ended the night at a food truck, sharing croquetas and café con leche, talking about our dreams. I told him about my secret wish to open a photography studio, focusing on real stories, not just glitzy events. He shared his goal to produce an album blending Cuban roots with modern beats. We're both storytellers, Lila, he said, and I felt seen in a way I never had. Our relationship ignited like a Miami summer. Within weeks, we were inseparable. We'd drive to the Everglades, chasing sunsets over the marshes, my camera capturing the way the light hit his face. We'd hit up rooftop bars in Brickell, sipping mojitos and dancing to whatever the DJ played. He'd surprise me with little things, a mixtape of songs he made for me, a photo he'd snapped of me laughing, framed in driftwood. We'd spend lazy Sundays at his place, a colorful apartment in Coconut Grove filled with vinyl records and vintage speakers, cooking arroz con pollo while he told stories about his abuelita's recipes. "You're my rhythm, Lila," he'd say, and I'd melt, believing every word. We built our own traditions. Every Friday, we'd go to the Wynwood Walls, where I'd shoot new murals and he'd mix tracks on his laptop, brainstorming festival sets. We'd end the night at a Cuban diner, sharing flan and debating the best Bad Bunny songs. He gave me a silver bracelet with a tiny palm tree charm, saying, "So you'll always carry Miami with you." We'd talk about the future, opening a creative studio together, him producing music, me shooting photos for his album covers. We even planned a trip to Cuba, his family's homeland, to explore its music and culture. "You and me, Lila, we're gonna make magic," he'd say, and I pictured us building a life as vibrant as the city around us. But around the 11-month mark, cracks started to show. Julian got elusive. He'd go silent for hours, sometimes days, blaming studio sessions or family stuff. He'd cancel plans, like a boat trip to the Keys, saying he had a last-minute gig. I tried to be understanding. Music life is chaotic, right? But my gut was screaming. He'd leave his phone face down, get defensive when I asked about his day. My best friend, Sophia, noticed it too. "Lila, he's acting sketchy," she said over Paletas at Azucar ice cream. "Don't let love blind you." But I did. I wanted our salsa-soaked romance to stay perfect. The first red flag was a call I overheard. We were at his apartment, watching the sunset from his balcony, when he stepped inside to take a call. I heard him whisper, "Not now. I'll call you later, okay?" When I asked who it was, he said, "Just a promoter," but his eyes darted away. I let it go, but the doubt grew. Then came the gigs in Orlando that didn't add up. His Instagram showed him at clubs, not stages. I started noticing little things: a woman's perfume on his jacket, a receipt for a dinner for two when he'd said he was working. Sophia kept saying, "Check his phone, Lila," but I didn't want to be that girlfriend. Until I couldn't ignore it anymore. The truth exploded one humid January night. We were at my place, cooking empanadas, when his phone buzzed on the counter. A text from Mariana, "Miss you, baby. When are you back in NYC?" My heart stopped. I confronted him, my voice shaking. "Julian, who's Mariana?" He froze, then tried to deflect. "Just a friend from a gig," but I wasn't buying it. I pressed, and the truth spilled out like a broken record. Mariana was his fiancée. His fiancée. They'd been engaged for 2 years, living in New York, but he'd moved to Miami for music opportunities, keeping her in the dark. He'd been flying back and forth, juggling 2 lives, 2 loves. "I fell for you, Lila," he said, tears in his eyes. I didn't know how to end it with her. But his words felt like a slap. I was betrayed, humiliated, like our entire romance was a lie spun for his playlist. I screamed at him to get out, threw the palm tree bracelet across the room, and watched him disappear into the Miami night. That night, I shattered. I cried until my eyes burned, deleted every photo, every text, burned the mixtape he made me. Miami's vibrant streets felt like a mockery. Every neon sign, every salsa beat, every palm tree reminded me of him. I felt like a fool. How had I missed the signs? Was I not enough? I replayed every moment, every Wynwood mural, every rooftop mojito, every dance, searching for where I went wrong. There were no answers, just a raw, gaping wound. I called Sophia, sobbing, and she stayed over, holding me as I fell apart, promising I'd get through this. The next few months were a haze of pain. I went through the motions at work, shooting events, editing photos, but my heart wasn't in it. I avoided Wynwood, the diners, even my balcony, scared I'd see something that reminded me of Julian. Friends tried to help. Sophia dragged me to drag shows. My coworker Diego invited me to art walks, but I was numb. I stopped shooting for fun, let my camera gather dust, gained weight from stress-eating arepas. One low point was finding a photo we'd taken at the beach, both of us laughing under a palm tree. I stared at it, hating how happy I looked, and tore it in half, vowing never to trust again. About 9 months later, I hit a turning point. I was at a cafe in Coconut Grove, staring at a blank laptop screen, when I saw a flyer for a ceramics workshop. On a whim, I signed up. The first class was chaos, clay everywhere, my pot collapsing, but it was the first time I'd felt alive in months. The instructor, a woman named Elena, said, "Lila, let the clay hold your story. It doesn't have to be perfect." I started pouring my pain into every piece, shaping vases and bowls that carried my grief. In that class, I met Riley, a painter with a contagious laugh and a knack for seeing the world in color. She became my rock, inviting me to art nights where we'd sip sangria and create without fear. I started saying yes to life again. I joined a writing group in South Beach, sharing short stories about heartbreak and redemption. The feedback was electric. People said my words gave them hope. I signed up for salsa dancing classes in Little Havana, stumbling through steps but finding joy in the rhythm. I started running along the Venetian Causeway, the ocean breeze pushing me forward. I took a solo trip to Key West, staying in a quirky hostel, photographing sunsets, and journaling by the water. It was scary, but it taught me I could be my own home. New people entered my life. At a photography meetup, I met Mateo, a filmmaker who shared my love for capturing real moments. We started collaborating on short docs about Miami's hidden communities, street artists, Cuban immigrants, drag queens. It wasn't romantic, but it was real, reminding me of my passion. I volunteered at a local animal shelter, adopting a scruffy dog named Mango who became my shadow. I tried surfing in South Beach, falling off the board a dozen times but laughing through every wipeout. My creativity roared back. I revived my camera, shooting Miami's colors, neon signs, ocean waves, street art, and started a blog, sharing my photos and stories. It grew fast, with readers saying my vulnerability inspired them. I pitched a photo series to a local gallery, and they hosted my first exhibit, a collection about heartbreak and healing. Seeing people connect with my work felt like a dream. I also started a YouTube channel, posting vlogs about my journey, blending photography tips with personal stories. The response was overwhelming. Viewers shared their own heartbreaks, creating a community I never expected. 3 years later, I ran into Julian at a festival in Wynwood. He looked worn, his cap pulled low, his DJ dreams faded. He said Mariana left him, that he'd lost everything. "I never should have hurt you, Lila," he said. I waited for the old ache, the spark. Nothing. "I'm good, Julian," I said, smiling. I found my own rhythm. I walked away, the street art glowing behind me, feeling lighter than ever. Now, I'm 28, living my truth. My photo exhibit's touring Florida, my channel's growing, and I'm planning a trip to Cuba to shoot a doc about its music. I date when it feels right, but I know my worth doesn't depend on anyone else. Love's not a fairy tale. It's messy, real, and possible when you're whole. Alright, guys, what's your story of love, lies, or finding your rhythm? Share in the comments, let's lift each other up. If this resonated, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for sticking with me through this epic ride. See you next time.